Alright, fellow supernatural fans, it's time to take a look at the second episode of the day, which is Live Free or Twihard. The young girl, Kristen, arrives at a bar and shows her fake ID. She meets with the young man she met earlier, Robert, who promised to meet her there. They talk, and he expresses admiration for the poetry she posted online. Kristen reaches for a journal to read him a poem, but gets the paper cut. Robert turns away and then leaves. Later, he comes back and warns Kristen that he shouldn't be there, and that they can't be together. He tells Kristen to run, but she insists she can handle it. He shows her his fangs, and Kristen says that she knew it. She starts to bare her throat. Instead, he offers to show her his world. He takes her to a deserted building, and another vampire, Boris, sleeps out. They both attack her. Dean and Sam are working the case, but Dean calls Lisa to tell her that he'll be home soon. She tells him to get home, and they cut off. And Sam arrives to tell Dean that 7 girls have turned up dead. They meet with Kristen's father, who tells him that she was acting strange and figures she was into something. He sends him up to her room, where they discover that she was obsessed with vampires. They search the room and find her laptop, and Sam finds email from an admirer that claims he's a vampire. They find his letter inviting her to meet at the Black Rose. Meanwhile, Robert and the vampires intercept a shipment of blood, kill the guard, and hijack the cargo. The next day, Sam calls Sam and tells him what happened with hijacking. They wonder why vampires are stealing blood when they already have victims, but don't come up with an answer. The brothers go to the Black Rose and spot several likely suspects. They split to follow them, and a vampire attacks Sam. He cuts his head off with a single knife blow. The goth boy is sitting on a girl in an alleyway when Dean finds him. He realizes the boy is pretending to be a vampire to get laid and tells him to leave. As Dean walks off, Boris attacks him and feeds off some of his blood. Sam arrives but hesitates, staring in seeming satisfaction. He finally draws a knife and attacks the vampire, but it flees. Sam turns to Dean, whose mouth is covered in blood. The brothers go back to the motel, and Dean is overwhelmed by the noise and the bright lights. Dean plans to have Samuel kill him when he gets there so he doesn't transform into a monster, but then wonders why Sam isn't freaked out. When Sam says he is, Dean says they can hear his heart and can tell he's calm. Dean goes to the bathroom, examines himself in the mirror, and spots the first signs of fangs growing in. Sam finally comes to investigate and discovers that Dean has slipped out the window. Lisa wakes up in her bedroom and finds Dean standing over her. He thanks for everything that she and Ben have done for him, and then moves away from her. When she asks what's wrong, Dean says that he's going to die soon and that his life is violent. She wants to put her hands her, and he grabs her and shows her up against the wall, hearing her heartbeat, and then turns away as his fangs start to emerge. He quickly goes outside into the hallway, and Ben comes out. Dean shoves him away and then runs out before getting overwhelmed by hunger. Samuel arrives at the motel and warns Sam that Dean is a monster and he's hungry. He prepares to do what is necessary, and they realize that Dean is there. He tells him that he went to say goodbye to Lisa, and admits it was a lousy idea. Samuel demands to know if he fed, and Dean admits that he didn't. He tells Samuel to finish him off, but Samuel tells him that there's a cure and he's there to save him. Samuel reveals that he has his grandfather's journal and has an untested cure. He warns that it will work. Dean can't feed on any human blood or he's gone for good. One of the ingredients of the blood is Boris, the vampire who turned him. Dean prepares to go to the vampire's nest, stun his attacker with dead man's blood, and get back to them. He knows where they are based on their smell. Samuel gives him a syringe of dead man's blood and wishes him luck. Once Dean leaves, Sam reminds Sam that they talked about the cure months ago. Sam denies it, but Samuel wonders if Sam let his brother get infected so they could find the alpha vamp they're looking for. Sam turns his back on his grandfather, and says he's just relieved so that they can fix it. Dean goes to the vampire's nest and sneaks in. He comes face to face with Robert, who says that Boris told him to keep an eye out and welcome Dean into the nest. He gives him stolen blood from the van and offers Dean some, but Dean claims he killed people already. Robert warns that they don't kill people anymore and wants to know what killing is like. Dean agrees to tell him later. Robert begins drinking the stolen blood straight from the blood bag and takes Dean to see Boris. He explains that they are both recruiters now. They arrive in the central chamber where Boris is coaching vampires, one of which is the missing girl Kristen, and how to attract victims by writing poetry. He then welcomes Dean and casually assures him that if Sam or any hunter find them, they'll easily kill them. and explains that he's over 600 years old and that he recruits vampire fans. Once they're brought in, Boris converts them and uses them to recruit even more. When Dean wonders who else is involved, Boris tells him that it is their father's idea. He promises to tell Dean eventually, and then offers him the private tour. Boris takes Dean away, and Dean tries to stab him with a syringe. He's supposed to drop the blood, and Boris hears it, spins, and restrains Dean. There's a sudden high-pitched whine, and Boris collapses along with all the women in the cages, some of them muttering "Father." Dean finally goes down himself, and experiences a telepathic sending of young vampire twins and a bald African-American man, revealed to be the Alpha, approaching them. Dean wakes up and finds the vampires moving in. He runs for it, fighting Swayad, and decapitates first Robert and then the female vampires. Sam and Sam will arrive outside as Dean continues to hack his way through the vampires. Boris confronts him and warns that he hasn't stopped anything, and it's bigger than both of them. He then gestures Dean to come at him. A few minutes later, Sam and Sam come in to find Dean, alive and standing over Boris's decapitated body. Back at the motel, Sam appears secure while Sam asks Dean what he saw in the nest. Dean can't answer due to his growing hunger and brings himself to drink the cure once it's ready. He vomits and then, remembering everything that happened to him, including the fact that Sam stood by and watched as Boris fed him his blood. The next morning, the Winchesters are preparing to leave, and Sam asks Dean what he saw in the nest. Dean doesn't know much, but does know that they have a psychic link with their Alpha, and is sending them telepathic messages to recruit vampires to build an army. And there's worse, the vampires aren't scared of them anymore. As they prepare to leave, Sam approaches as Dean still struggles and fails to leave a message on Lisa's voicemail. He asks Sam if he can always count on him. Yeah, Sam replies with a slight smile. Of course, Dean. Dean looks away sullenly and climbs into the car. So anyway, let's take a look at some continuity surrounding this episode. First major indication that something is seriously wrong with Sam when he helps Boris turn Dean into a vampire. First appearance of the vampire cure. It will later reappear in Frequent Geeks, Alex, Annie, Alexis Ann, and Breakdown to cure 6 victims, Annie, Alex Jones, and Doug Stover. First appearance, albeit in a cameo, of the Alpha Vampire. He will remain a recurrent character until season 12's The Raid, where Sam manages to kill the Alpha Vampire with the Colt. And now finally, let's take a look at some trivia surrounding this episode. The name of this episode parodies the Twihard series, while the content of this episode parodies the Twilight Saga, obsessive fans of which are known as Twihards. Actors Taylor Lautner, Robert Pattinson, Zac Efron, and singer Justin Bieber are mentioned by Dean. Kristen and Robert are based off the leading characters in Twilight Saga, Bella and Edward, while using the real-life names of the actors, Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson, portray them in the movie adaptations. While talking with Robert in the vampire nest, Dean promises that he will personally show Robert what it's like to kill someone. He later does when he chops Robert's head off. Summaries given in the episode say that Dean was bitten by a vampire and turned, but he actually ingested blood. The actor who played Boris in this episode, Joseph D. Reitman, was an associate producer of the film The 10-Inch Hero, which co-starred Jensen Ackles and his wife, Danielle Harris Ackles, as Danielle Harris. Danielle later appears in seasons 13 and 14 as the Angel Anale. Rick Worthy, who played the Alpha Vampire in this episode, uncredited, co-starred with Jensen Ackles on the Fox TV series Dark Angel in the episode titled Freak Nation. In this episode, Dean gets turned into a vampire briefly by Boris. Using the vampire cure, Dean is turned back to normal. In several other episodes, particularly using the cure, this event is referenced, usually by Dean reassuring others that the cure works from his own personal experience. Introduction of the Alpha Vampire. Dean gets turned into a vampire outside the Black Rose Club. The club reappears in season 11's Beyond the Mad, when the demon Crowley uses the club to change back to its usual suit after escaping from Lucifer's custody. While searching Chris's bedroom, Dean picks a book titled My Summer of Blood by Cynthia Rose and comments to Sam about the cover art. Look at this. He's watching her sleep. How's that not rapey? After he's infected, he steals away to Lisa's and ends up in her bedroom in the same position. The song that played in the nightclub at the beginning of this episode is Bela Lugosi's Dead by the post-punk/goth band Bauhaus. It refers to the actor who played the famous vampire Count Dracula in the 1931 film adaptation of Bram Stoker's Dracula novel, as well as the 1927 Broadway play. Bela Lugosi is also an alias of Bella Talbot from Season 3, played by Lauren Cohan. The opening scene of this episode directly references the opening scene of the 1983 film The Hunger, starring David Bowie, Catherine Deneuve, and Susan Sarandon. In the film, Bowie and Deneuve's characters, both vampires, seduce their victims in a goth nightclub, while Bauhaus performs Bela Lugosi's Dead in the background. Interesting. So I think this episode is pretty unique, and yeah, there's definitely something going on with Sam, because if I were him, I would try to save Dean from being turned, but apparently Sam did not do that, so yeah. So overall, I give Live Free or Twihard 3 Impalas out of 5. But anyway, tune in as we tackle the final episode of the day, You Can't Handle the Truth. So, until then, carry on, my wayward sons and daughters.